MongoDB is a schemaless type of database. So by using the Mongoose package, we're able to design and constrain our models. So let's take a look. Not to waste time, let's create our user model while learning the ins and outs of the MongoDB and Mongoose. Let's go with the basic structure. Inside our resource, the user. So inside our models, we're going to import Mongoose from Mongoose. Now we need to do a few things. First, we create a schema. This is where we're gonna do the data modeling. Here's the const schema. There we go. Then we're gonna need to create the model itself. The model in here we're creating, it would be like the tables in a relational database. So here we are using a user schema, like new mongoose.schema. And here in this function, we need to pass this schema we created over here. So schema. So this should be enough, but let's pass a bit more information. Every time you create a resource, it's always good to keep a track for future reference when you're gonna update or create. Like for example, users, you might want to show on your application when the user create accounts, like member scenes or things like something like that. So you use a timestamp. Here we need to pass it through. The timestamp, every time we create a new record of a user, it will add a created at and an updated at. So you will know when the user last updated their account and when they're created. So you can use that information on your application. Next, we're going to export the model. So here, export, const, and you create a user capital, which is going to be a model. So mongoose.model. And here you pass the instance of the user schema. So we're creating a variable and we're storing this data in here. It will call user, and you pass in the user schema, which is the new Mongo model. So let's start with our schema. We know our user is going to have an email and password. So let's do email. And here it takes an object. There are a few things that you can do. First, the only thing you must do is to give it a type. The rest is optional. But for password, we know that is required. You can leave it like this, or you can also pass a message like true. And then you pass a message. Please enter a password or whatever you want. Your email, actually. We want the email to be unique. You don't want a single user creating many accounts with the same email. And there is one called trim. The trim removes the space from the password. For example, if this is a form, the user would put Flavio and then put more space. That would remove the space from here and from here. So this is a database type of validation. It's only one in a plethora of ways that you can check the data. We're going to see more later on. So this was our email. I'm going to copy this one and I'm going to do the same for password. So here is required, but I'll change for password. Doesn't need to be unique. But you can also add a few more validation. For example, minimal length. There's maximum length and so on. You can grab this information from the Mongoose, mongoose.js.com, read docs. So here on the schema types, you can have the type of information you can save. Here an example. And here are the options that we're using. You can either just put the string or like we did as an object. We have a require, also have a default. Here are the things that you can apply to strings type of data. Here, let's add this lowercase to the email. So whenever the user will type their email, whatever, if it's like that or not, it will change for lowercase. Here are the one you use for the password. So if you ever in doubt, you can take a look at this schema types, and here are the information you might need as well. So let's continue. Also want a username, and I'm gonna put type string, and I'm gonna also trim it. As we saw, we can actually add just like this as well. We don't need to create an object. So bio string URL string, and we can also use a boolean. So let's say if it's admin or not, boolean. You can add whatever information you want. I think this is enough. We're just testing anyways. Let's continue now. So we have our schema. We are creating a new model with that schema, and you will also adding timestamps. You could add yourself in here, like created at, new date, something like this. But Mongoose is nice enough to give us this option that will add it automatically for us, which is kind of nice. And then this user model that we're creating, we're saving the user schema and we're passing it over here. And you are referencing it with a capital U for a model. So now that we have our model done, let's move on. Next, we're going to learn about the CRUD, the create, read, update, and delete.